Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw. It's a very special edition of Going In Raw. It's the annual Friendo Awards 2021, where we take a look at what you, the Friendos, thought was the best, the most significant, the most important, the most shocking in pro wrestling of the year. We do this every single year. We did things a little bit different this year. We sort of stole Wrestle Talk's way of doing it, where you just make a Google form and then you send it out to everybody. We had about 1,100 plus responses.
Oh, that's great.
To the Friendo Award ballots that went out, and it's so interesting how, you know, the show that we do is or the various platforms we have, I should say, including Twitch and YouTube and Audio Realm, sort of reflect like our own proclivities and tastes, I guess, because so much of the top answers were ones that I'm like, yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, it was sort of an interesting year for pro wrestling. A lot was going on, and these answers sort of reflected. It's always a great way to the Friendo Award is a great way to sort of take a trip down memory lane for the last 12 months, because my memory's crap.
Especially for the Going In Raw moment of the year. Like some of the more impactful ones, obviously you remember, but there's some small ones. I'm like, oh yeah, that happened.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. What stands out to other people, to people who are, you know, part of the community or are watching Going In Raw or watching the Smash Zone or watching et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, the moments that stood out the most to them, it was fun to look back on it, because so we've got, I don't know what it was, like 13 categories. We've got
17, I think.
17. Wow. Okay. So we got the obvious
not including
ones.
Going In Raw Hall of Fame.
Oh, right. Yes, correct. We're going to do that at the end of the show. Wrestler of the Year, Tag Team of the Year, Feud of the Year, Match of the Year, Promotion of the Year, Breakout Star of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Biggest Wrestling Moment, Wrestling News Story, Promo Segment of the Year, Wrestling Show of the Year, Wrestling YouTuber of the Year, Best Wrestling Twitter Account, Wrestling Podcast, Wrestling Twitch Streamer, Wrestling Artist, Going In Raw Wrestler of the Year, which is sort of the goofiest, sort of unintentionally funny Wrestler of the Year, and then Going In Raw Moment of the Year. What moment stood out to you in our programming?
Yes,
or stuff that we were involved in. It's funny because like I think the top moment, it wasn't even on our show.
No,
it was just we were on somebody else's show.
Yeah, that was a hell of a moment.
That's a very Going In Raw thing. The Going In Raw moment of the year didn't even happen in our territory.
But it did involve the two of us, so I guess in that sense it is.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And it was a wonderful celebratory moment.
It truly was.
But yeah, I don't know. Looking at the results, was there anything that stood out to you that was surprising, or you just want to take it sort of
Let's just take it category by category. There's a couple things, but again, it's probably best to just discuss it category by category.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. So let's just start things with Wrestler of the Year. By the way, this data comes to us in one just giant blob of data. And it's amazing how many people have so many different ways of saying, for example, Kenny Omega. You know, you can get, if you write down because it's not like this is multiple choice where we're pre-filling stuff out.
No,
it's like Kenny Omega, Kenny Omega.
All caps,
all lowercase.
Yeah.
So Google Docs doesn't really have a great way, but I mean, in general, you can sort of figure out what's going on. And I think I got. So all the specific numbers that I'm going to list are sort of they're within a certain range of error,
I like the exact vote totals might not be exact.
Yeah,
but it seems like I didn't exactly do the math, but I perused the stats pretty thoroughly. It seems like what the numbers you're gonna, or the rankings you're gonna have here, are probably more or less pretty indicative of how the voting went.
I think in all but one category they are accurate. Like in terms of choosing a winner, they are accurate.
Yes.
There is one category that it's so close that I'm going to call it a tie, because I would have to go through all 1,100 entries to really figure out because it's separated by like 13 votes. We'll get there. It's the second category, but the first one is Wrestler of the Year, and it really wasn't close. It was Kenny Omega. My count was it was 397, so around 400 votes for Kenny Omega. In second place was Bryan Danielson, Brian. Like there was a million.
Daniel Bryanson.
Yeah, exactly. There was a bunch of different ways, but he got about he was about at 250. So Kenny, by around 150 votes, cleaned up this year. This was one, and it's funny because the top two I would have had as well as Kenny, and then followed by Bryan Danielson, just because Kenny, he did it in so many different promotions. He was always a constant match of the year guy, being very creative with all of his matches. I could see Danielson probably being the early front runner for 2022 Wrestler of the Year because he had just a killer 2021. But for my money, it was Kenny Omega.
Yeah, agreed. You know, he was carrying 3 titles, 3 championships throughout the year, putting on great matches, all while dealing with injuries and apparently vertigo.
Yeah.
You know, his transformation towards the tail end of 2020 and continued to 2021 into this heel character that was wildly entertaining.
Yeah.
Was pretty fantastic. At this juncture, I'd probably have Danielson at number 2 on my list. And I'd probably have Bianca Belair at number 3. This is the year that she really took the next step, becoming a massive superstar.
Oh, yeah.
And it's only going to, you know, I expect her 2022 to be just as huge. They're obviously, WWE's obviously pushing her to be, you know, the next, hopefully, mainstream star for the company.
Yeah.
I'm actually a little surprised that she didn't get more votes for Wrestler of the Year.
Yeah, me too. So like this is what I was able to sort of figure on the rankings here. Kenny number 1, Danielson number 2, Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief, number 3. It's hard. I can understand that, given that he was the anchor to the highest watched, you know, show. He had a complete transformation that really came to fruition this year. I know at the tail end of last year, but certainly this year. He had some really, really good matches, and I still really enjoy what Roman Reigns is doing, and I'm interested to see what the next 6 months for him are going to look like. After Roman was Hangman Adam Page, who of course had a huge year of his own, and then it looks like Bianca Belair came in at number 5 for the Friendos. We had CM Punk after that, Britt Baker, Big E, and then just like a host of others just sort of hovering in the 10 and under range. Next up, Tag Team of the Year. So, from what I can tell,
difference of about 13 votes here by this tally, huh?
It does seem like the Lucha Brothers won this because in this case, not a whole lot of different ways to spell Lucha. Most people got that spelling correctly. So when I went through the find filter, I just put in Lucha, and then I put Lucha Bros, and I put LB, every iteration, and it seemed to come up with 346 votes for the Lucha Bros. Similarly, not a whole lot of different ways not a lot of variations on Young Bucks. Nobody put Young, or, I mean, some people did put Bucks. So I just searched Bucks. And that came up with 300. And so every permutation of Young Bucks I could find came up with 333 votes. So there is a difference there of 1.4%, I believe.
Yeah,
if I'm
13
not mistaken.
votes.
Yeah, 13 votes. So clearly that's not a lot. And so I'm willing to say this is basically a tie, but Lucha Brothers seem to be the tag team of the year. According to the Friendos. I'll be honest with you, this is actually one that as the Lucha Brothers are probably usually consistently my favorite tag team.
Oh yeah.
They're guys that could be explosive singles wrestlers.
Oh, easily.
They are amazing as a team. So I really don't have a problem with this. For me, the top 3 are kind of all just there together. it's FTR, Bucks, and Lucha Bros. And in fact, that was the top 3 for the Friendos as well. But I would put FTR, Bucks, and Lucha Bros. As like a 3-way tie because FTR does such good work.
Yeah.
And this year, especially when they went to Mexico and tried to start a riot, when they went to Ring of Honor and tried to start a riot there.
Yeah.
I love how all in they are on that old school thing. And they do it so well, and it works so awesome. They're such a great team, and they've had some great matches. But I can see why Lucha Brothers probably by number 1. But man,
I can understand why Lucha Brothers and Young Bucks are 1 and 2 because they had great years in terms of putting on great matches. Both champions over the course of the year. I mean, I guess FTR was too, but I don't know. I get it. I totally understand it.
Yeah,
totally understand it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to see what FTR can do in 2022, given that you seemingly have, I don't know if this has happened already, but like there's of course rumors going around that the Briscoes are going to show up, and to see now that they're the Ring of Honor champions, if FTR make a run for Ring of Honor tag champions, they're already AAA champions, might be 2-time AEW champions. I don't know.
Entirely possible if they do a belt collector gimmick in 2022, then that gives them a early advantage for Friendo Awards next year.
Yeah, that is true. That is very true. Also on this list, RK Bro, the Usos, and the New Day fell to numbers 4, 5, and 6. But and then of course just a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, that seemed to be the top 5 for the Friendos. Let's move on to Feud of the Year.
This one's pretty cut and dry.
This was not even close. This was a majority. It was nearing a super majority. Hangman Adam Page versus Kenny Omega with what I counted at 640 votes. I suspect it was even more than that because there were so many permutations of those names. But my count was at 58%. Again, that was at the minimum, it was 58%. Wouldn't shock me if it made its way to a super majority of like 66%.
Yeah,
but yeah, that was clearly far and away.
Yeah, I mean, it's a story that AEW spent a better part of 2 years building to, and it reached, though predictable, a really satisfying conclusion. They did a hell of a job of building up Hangman Page to be their top guy. And the match that ended it all delivered. So
yeah,
it's hard to argue with that outcome.
So that would have been yours as well?
Yeah.
Like your personal, my personal top feud. I mean, it's hard not to say that one. There were a couple others that got me a bit more geeked out. Walter Ilya, which by my count, it looks like it fell to about probably 5th. Cause like I think it might've had 11 votes. The Roman Reigns featured in a lot of them, but because he had so many different feuds, like some people were still saying Roman Reigns versus the Usos, which I think predated this year. Although Jimmy's coming back might have been in 2021.
Yeah, I think it was.
But Roman Reigns, various feuds sort of conglomerated into like 4% of the vote.
Yeah.
Edge Rollins was got about 100 votes. Yeah, that did pretty well. The 2 feuds that really geeked me out the most, Walter Ilya and Punk Kingston. Punk Kingston actually came in at number 3 for the Friendos. But those are the ones where I was like, even Punk Kingston was so short. It was basically like maybe a month. But everything they did in that little short period of time, I loved. I was eating up and I really wanted more. I was hoping they were going to give us more and they didn't. No. But I thought that was just a wonderful, perfect little tiny feud right there. Walter Ilya was mainly Ilya's story of trying to figure out how to get back to, how to control the demon of being turned into a
chopped
trance
in the back.
Mode. Yeah,
chopped in the back by Walter.
Yeah, and I do feel like if you had your standard UK crowd there, this might have made and standard takeover sort of structure. I think this feud is probably hurt by the pandemic, but what they were able to do over there in the UK. But I really loved it. I thought that was like probably my match of the year, which we're going to get to next. And I think that even that was done a disservice because of no fans there.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's take a quick break here to get a word from our sponsor, Let's Get Checked. Hey, Larson, you're a low energy guy, right?
Well, maybe sometimes. Like I'm a little tired today, but not all the time.
Yeah, confirmed. You're low energy. You're low energy. So did you know that fatigue, hair loss, and even a low libido can all be the result of a hormonal imbalance? It might be time to get your testosterone levels checked, friendo. And today's sponsor, Let's Get Checked, has got you covered.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that low testosterone levels can cause fatigue, low energy, and may be linked to depression. But tell me, Steve, how do I go about getting my testosterone tested with Let's Get Checked? Tell me, please.
Happy you asked, Larson, because it's easy and it's something you could do from the comfort of your own home. Just go to their site, letsgetchecked.com, and order a test kit. Once that arrives, you do a small finger prick and send the sample to their lab, and within a few days, you'll get your results. If your results are outside the normal ranges, a member of Let's Get Checked nursing team will contact you to discuss your lab report.
Oh, that sounds easy enough. I could do that. Yeah.
It is easy and convenient, and it can hopefully help you turn from low energy Larson into Let's Go Larson. Even better, our listeners will get 30% off their entire order with code RAW. Just visit letsgetchecked.com and enter RAW at checkout to ensure you and your significant other are staying safe.
Let's move on to match of the year. That's next. Winner here, Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega, half-hour time limit draw on Dynamite. Hell of a bout. Dream match. We finally got to see on cable television. Went to a time limit draw. Finishing second place, which probably would have been my personal favorite match of the year. I'm actually kind of surprised this one didn't end up winning. Lucha Brothers versus Young Bucks in the steel cage. That match was fantastic. Had everything.
Yeah. No, that was terrific. I like that match a lot. Mine went to Walter Ilya. That actually did pretty well. It actually got it was in third place. It got 119 votes for my count. Danielson Omega, great match.
Oh, fantastic.
Bucks Lucha Bros, great match. Really like that one. Mine would go to Walter Ilya.
I'm curious that if we had waited a week to put the voting up, how Danielson versus Hangman would have performed.
I'll be honest with you. I think it probably would have
split the vote between
it would have moved the Bucks
Danielson
into
Omega.
I don't know if it would have split it enough to bump Walter Ilya up to second place, and Danielson Omega and Omega Hangman. I'm sorry, Danielson Hangman down to like third and fourth. But I think it probably would have just sapped some votes away from Danielson Omega.
It might have
because I know the same sort of set of people will probably be voting for that. No, it's a good question. Unfortunately, it's not going to get the recency bias for next year, but it'll go on next year's ballot. We'll say, it's from December of whatever.
Mid-December to mid-December, something like that, yeah.
And then also on this, some of the votes included Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker Lights Out, which would have been also one of my top candidates.
Yeah,
and
same.
Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair.
Another one of my top candidates, too.
A fantastic match. This really fantastic match.
Stellar bout. Bout.
Next up, promo/segment of the year. One man had conglomerated about 900 plus votes.
Wow.
For this out of 1,100 responses. CM Punk in 3 different segments cleaned up. The number 1 was his promo battle with MJF. Number 2 was Punk Kingston, and number 3 was his actual return. For me, it would have been Punk Kingston, then the return, then the MJF promo battle.
Same.
Yeah. Because the Kingston stuff was just too damn good. But, I totally understand. Everybody loved to see Punk and MJF. I mean, that's a great thing about AEW is that they don't wait to give you, the good stuff to a degree. I mean, we had Omega versus Danielson basically as soon as Bryan Danielson showed up.
I know. Virtually as soon as he showed up. I know. Yeah. It's great. It's great.
That was pretty awesome. Another runaway vote here, Breakout Star of the Year. So it's interesting to see how the Friendos with their votes sort of defined Breakout Star of the Year, because there was 107 people voted for Bianca Belair. When I think of Breakout, I mean somebody who sort of was under the radar maybe the previous year and then really burst onto the scene.
Yeah.
Maybe not a rookie, not like literally a rookie who had their first match, but somebody who burst onto the scene.
It's someone who took things to the next level. Or, you know what I mean? Like they were maybe doing good work, maybe really good work.
Yeah.
But, you know, this year they took things to another level, enhanced their own star power. You know, in my mind, that's like last year was John Silver.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
You know, he had a hell of a 2021. Let me see in previous years while you go through these results.
Yeah, so the far and away favorite was Dante Martin,
who I would have voted for too,
with 304 votes. That's who I would have voted for as well.
So in 2018 it was MJF. That was weird. And then let's see here. Oh, those are just the nominations. Sorry, go ahead. I'll recap everything when we're done with this one.
So next up was Bianca Belair. She had 107 votes. I understand the philosophy. I think that her breakout was probably like 2 years ago. But this year she really did. I mean, she did take another step. She did bring it to another level.
Yeah.
Might not fit my definition of breakout, but I totally understand why the Friendos would, and I would never argue against that. Next up, really close behind Bianca with 95 was Hook. Can't disagree with that. In fact, he cleaned up in another category.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hook came in. I would never, this to me, it could be pretty close. I mean, he's got as good a case as Dante, in my opinion. I think it really does. Dante has a bit more of a sample size, I think. But what Hook brings to the table, I think can't be denied. At number 4, Braun Breaker. Yeah. With 71 votes, this dude came out of nowhere. Just got signed to WWE in February, and he's on the precipice here in the new year.
He's going to ring in 2022 as NXT champ, most likely.
He is. Britt Baker, a lot of people thought had a breakout year. Jungle Boy had a breakout year. Eddie Kingston, after 15 years in the business or 20 years in the business, a breakout year. Big E, after being a 6-time tag champion, Intercontinental champion, and now WWE champion, had a breakout year according to the Friendos. Carmelo Hayes was in there.
Carmelo
as well.
Hayes is a good response.
I think he's pretty high up there for me as well. Yeah.
Same.
But hard to argue against Dante Martin. Did you find out who like 2020 and?
So yeah, it was MJF and then John Silver the last 2 years.
Okay, all right, there you go. Let's move on to Rookie of the Year. This was not even close. What is 700? What is the percentage here? Let me get that real quick.
700 divided by how many? 900 something?
700 divided by 1100 is, wow. Oh, so close to a super majority.
Oh, 64%.
64%. He was a 2% botch away from a super majority.
Yes.
Rookie of the Year. So this to me means literally who had their first match this year.
Yeah.
This is rarefied air when somebody can make a big splash in their first match. And there were 3 names that stood out. One of these names, Hook, had his first match just a couple weeks ago, and it was right before we released this ballot.
I know.
So talk about a recency bias.
Yes.
Hook, with 699 votes. Behind him with 173. Yeah, Braun Breaker, which can't really argue with that, in terms of being put out there on cable TV and being able to, in the Ciampa match anyways, being able to actively participate in the story that was being told. A guy who was falling into every trap that Ciampa was setting for him. I thought he did a pretty good job. I thought his promos are genuine. They are confident, and he's filling the role that they're asking of him, and he just got signed in February.
Totally. Yeah, in the span of 2 months, he's managed to impress quite a bit.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't know if it was the Shaq match her actual...
I think so.
I think that was actually her first match. I think this was her rookie year.
I think so.
For Jade Cargill. She only got 44 votes. I would have put her quite a bit higher than that, to be honest with you. I mean,
I would have too.
I'll be honest with you. Jade probably would have been my rookie of the year. I mean, is she super polished in the ring? No, but neither is Hook or Braun Breaker. because we just don't have that much of a for Hook. We don't really have much of a sample size. We have one 5-minute match.
Yeah.
Braun Breaker looks all right in the ring, but is fairly one-dimensional. Jade kind of in the same realm, but given that this is their first year, and the presence she brings, everything else she has for a pro wrestler, for going in Raw math, the look is a 10 at this point, a 10 for look. And I even think her promos are pretty good.
Yeah, I think her promos are pretty darn good.
She delivers them with so much confidence and the arrogance she needs as a heel. And then putting her with with Mark Sterling, I thought has been pretty decent. So yeah, Jade Cargill would have been my pick for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, me too. Hook's debut impressed, but it's such a small sample size. He's going to have 2 matches by the time this year is over with. Jade's wrestled quite a bit. She's impressed continuously. So yeah, she would have gotten my vote as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to Moment of the Year. So this is like a debut, a shocking moment, something like that. I mean, this ran away with it. The return to wrestling of CM Punk got 661 votes. That's
quite a bit.
That's
huge. Not quite the victory that Hook got in his category, but still pretty huge.
Not that far behind. Not the 29 votes behind. Not that far behind, but or 28. What's my math on that?
Whatever.
38. Thank you. Not that far behind. And then kind of in the same realm, there was a lot of people saying like Danielson and Cole, All Out, Ruby Soho, and All Out. The All Out debuts conglomerated got about 206 votes. So like all those like Cole, Danielson, and sort of to a lesser degree, but up there, Ruby Soho, all variations of that got about 206 votes. And then Hangman winning the title got 50 votes. As far as what my moment of the year was, it's probably Phil coming back. It was probably CM Punk. I could see All Out being that as well. But that last segment of All Out where it was Cole and Danielson.
Yeah.
Those were big moments. But Punk coming back after 7 years and the way they perfectly executed the actual moment, that's up there with that. That's up there. I mean, people are crying over that shit.
Yeah. I think for me, it was probably All Out just because, we had heard that Bryan Danielson was going to AEW. We had a pretty strong thought that Adam Cole's going to end up there too, but 2 wrestlers still, in their prime, leaving WWE to go to AEW is something else, and we spoke before that while AEW isn't necessarily competition for WWE in terms of ratings or revenue, they are when it comes to talent.
Yeah.
And having those 2 huge names go over to AEW was pretty massive.
Absolutely. It's going to be interesting if WWE tries to close the gap when it comes to, we've seen it already with Kevin Owens. They were able to close the deal and say, hey, we're going to offer you a lot more money than seemingly AEW is willing to. And it's going to be interesting if they step up their game when it comes to trying to keep, Dean Ambrose left and he ended up going to AEW. And I wonder if they're like, hey, we need to really work on keeping our stars from, having this perception that we're not the place to be.
Exactly.
So it'll be interesting to see how all that plays out in the coming months and years, really.
Definitely.
Next up, news stories. This is actually, let's see, I put this first and actually surprisingly wasn't. So news story of the year. This was also very, very close. And in this one, this is a bit more nebulous. There's 2 things that happened that both seem to get in the realm of 360 votes or so. So I have the tabulation for WWE releases at 363, which would seem to be the top singular news story
Gotcha.
on the minds of the friendos. That being said, Punk coming back got, from my tabulations, a little bit more than that, 369, but some of those Punk returns were also in the same vote along with AEW signing Cole and Danielson as well.
Gotcha.
So it was like Punk, Cole, Danielson with
Go to
AEW.
AEW. Yeah.
Sort of folded into the Punk coming back thing, but it sort of speaks to two different stories. WWE releasing people and AEW hiring people.
Yeah.
And those are both obviously the two biggest stories of the year. So yeah, there's no sort of clear winner here. It's a sort of AEW signing people, WWE releasing people.
Yeah. Still, you look at the names that WWE released this year. I think it's like 80 or more. It's still pretty shocking that a company that's making tons of money release so many people.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is and it isn't, simply because I think what was a bigger tragedy is when they did it. I mean, I know we're still in a pandemic. I get that. But we got vaccinations and things are open and independent wrestling is back in a big way. When they did it back in 2020, it was absolutely unforgivable.
I think some of the names that got released too were surprising. Seeing
that, absolutely.
Wyatt, Keith Lee. There's a lot of names that of wrestlers who either did or easily could make that company a ton of money.
Yeah.
That it just, for whatever reason, they couldn't find a way to make it work.
The creative mishandling,
yes.
The creative mishandling of a lot of the names that were released was pretty shocking. Mm-hmm. The idea that, there was some rumblings about like, oh yeah, WWE, they don't really mind, doing these kind of releases because, they just think AEW is going to either outspend, they're going to spend themselves into the ground or, they're not or whatever. Yeah, it's to me, it was the absolutely tragic and unfortunate result of WWE just signing up every single talent they possibly could to try to either keep them away from AEW or whatever. And, it's an absolute bummer. It seems disingenuous for them to approach talent and say, hey, come to WWE. We're the place to be. We're going to have NXT and like potentially maybe another developmental show. And then, and then they just sort of release them and say, hey, good luck or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can look at an upside and say, hey, a lot of these people were able to enhance their own brand in WWE. They were able to get additional training in the Performance Center with some great coaches. They were able to get some cable television time. And so when they, were released, their stock was at, for them personally, an all-time high. And I think there is some silver lining there that they were able to glean something from their time there in WWE, and get a paycheck in the meantime, because that's honestly what, they're in for this for money.
Yeah.
It's just a shame that WWE, I think the biggest problem for me is just, did WWE even really try with half these names?
I know.
That's the bigger shame. It's like when you look at Hit Row, did they even really give that a shot? Like on main roster? No. Did they even really give them the shot that they really could have used in NXT? Not really.
Not really.
So I don't know. They have so much. They've got 5 hours of
main roster television. Yeah.
I mean, they got 7 hours of cable television.
Yeah.
And instead of using some of these names that they signed, in 2019 and 2020, in February, they signed a ton of people and then just shoved them onto TV.
Right on TV, I know.
With not a ton of in-ring experience. So the matches you get just aren't that good in NXT 2.0. Instead of using the talent that's been there, that had made names for themselves in the indie level,
instead of using deliver on a weekly basis in ring. Yeah, totally.
I mean, NXT, to me, the NXT story is still a mind-numbingly bizarre one. It's absolutely crazy that they went the route they did. There's so much redundancy on main roster programming with recaps and rematches and
promo segments that recap the recaps and the rematches. You know,
it's a crazy way of doing things. And there's so, like I said, there's so much redundancy across the board that could have been used on a lot of these wrestlers that were released.
Yep.
So yeah, that to me was the story of the year. The other two ones that sort of stood out were Ring of Honor closing down temporarily or not, depending on if they do come back. And then NXT rebranding to 2.0, which I mean, those two would have been the biggest stories of the year in any other year, but there was just so much crazy shit happening.
You got that right. Totally. Next up, show of the year. One show ran away with this one. Would have gotten my vote. I'm sure would have gotten yours too. AEW All Out. Awesome matches across the board. Then you have debuts, massive debuts as well. It just felt like one of those pivotal moments in at least, contemporary wrestling history where it feels like something has changed within the industry. Yeah. It wasn't just AEW became a thing. It was, hey, AEW can't compete with WWE for talent, top line talent. Mm-hmm. And it'll be interesting to see where this goes in a few years from now, whether AEW can take this momentum they've gathered, build upon it, continue to grow their audience. I know Tony Khan doesn't necessarily view himself as competition for WWE per se, just an alternative to WWE. But, it seems like some of the moves they're making, obviously they want to build their brand. Whether they can get to be a household name like WWE is remains to be seen. That's an uphill battle. It's going to take a number of years for that to happen. But if it happens, I think a lot of people are going to point to All Out and the return of CM Punk as the moment that started to happen.
That weekend in wrestling was nuts. It was absolutely nuts. All Out was just an amazing show. So this got a super majority. It's right at 66%. Mm-hmm. So 700 by my count, 725 votes. I think it probably got a couple more than that. But yeah, this got number one. And number two, way down the line, was this year's Full Gear, Hangman Page.
Really good show.
Really good show. Fantastic show. Further down the line with only 62 votes, WrestleMania. And then was just AEW Dynamite. Which I understand some people took, what weekly show are we voting for? So, yeah, maybe I could have clarified, maybe put pay-per-view / show of the year. But yeah.
How many votes did Triple Mania get? That's the real question.
I can look that up for you here real quick.
Let's
see here. Triple Mania. Let's see here. It is listed. Oh, here we go. Not that many. Probably in the realm of like 10, maybe. 15 or so. Because there's actually more votes for Triple Mania for the Going in Raw moment of the year.
Oh, yeah.
And Triple Mania also was sort of split between Triple Mania and Triple Mania Rahia.
Yeah.
There's like one vote for Triple Mania as like show of the year.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it probably got around 10 votes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on to Wrestling YouTuber of the Year. Obviously not including us. We're not going to give ourselves an award.
No. Well, it's kind of something that we would consider doing, but yeah, it's probably
giving ourselves an award.
Yeah, so let's see here. The winner here was I'm pretty sure there's not a whole lot of ways to spell WrestleTalk or Cultaholic. Mm-hmm. They were really close. Mm-hmm. Both great friends of ours.
Yes,
both teams, not Mr. WrestleTalk and Mr. Cultaholic. WrestleTalk came in number one with 151 votes. I wonder if I can get like Luke to do a little Matt Chat video between now and when I edit this.
Maybe
see if we can
to accept this prestigious award.
Yeah, here's Luke from WrestleTalk.
Hey friendos, Luke Owen here from WrestleTalk. How are you doing, Steve and Larson? Hope you're both doing exceptionally well. Love to you and both of your families in this holiday season. But more importantly, I suppose, and I guess you to the Enforcer if he's there too. But more importantly, I suppose, love to the friendos who voted for WrestleTalk as the best wrestling YouTube channel that isn't going in Raw, because let's be honest, we all know it's actually going in Raw. But you voted for us. You voted us here at WrestleTalk. And as the That champion, the face of the brand, I felt it was my responsibility to give you an acceptance speech. And I wanted to thank you all so much from the bottom of my heart for voting for us. It really does mean a lot to us. You are an excellent, wonderful community. You've shown us a lot of love over the last couple of years as we've been doing a lot of stuff with Steve and Larson, and I absolutely adore every single one of you, as well as Steve Larson and the Enforcer. The Enforcer, who, by the way, often shows up during our live stream just to chat along the way because he's such a nice guy. So, as the GM That Champion of Wrestle Talk, I want to thank the Friendos for voting for Wrestle Talk. I've filmed this in portrait, which I'd imagine will now be difficult for Steve and or Larson to splice into this video. So, sorry about that, gentlemen. Is it still a heel thing to film things in portrait? I don't even know anymore. I think I'm supposed to be the good guy in this company. I don't really know. Pete's trying to make me the bad guy, but I don't think it's going to work. Anyway, hope you all had a great holidays. Hope you had a great 2021. See you all in 2022. Jam that jam.
Or maybe he didn't. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But if he did, thank you, Luke.
Thanks, Luke. And then in second place is Cultaholic. They were close. They were only, 7 votes behind with 144. Brian Zane's Wrestling with Regret had around 70 or so. Again, people were saying Zane, Wrestling with Regret, Zane and Wrestling with Regret. There's, so it's hard to tell exactly how many. And then the home to Quizlemania, Parts Fun Known, came in fourth. So not a lot of surprise there. They're all friends of ours.
Yeah.
We all pal around, at least digitally through Twitter or whatever.
Indeed.
So, yeah. Another runaway was the wrestling Twitter account. At this point, it starts to become less respondents because not everybody's on Twitter. Not everybody is on YouTube necessarily. Yeah. Not everybody listens to podcasts, but they listen to ours. But no, I mean, the one account, sort of the Adrian Wojnarowski of wrestling, Sean Ross Sapp, his Twitter account came in number 1. He had around 200 votes out of, I don't even know how many respondents even responded to this.
Gotcha.
But of course, whenever there's breaking wrestling news, generally speaking, he's the guy. He had, of course, CM Punk and the releases. So in terms of getting the big news, he was the dude to go to.
Yeah, that's the account you got to follow.
Yeah. Danhausen seemed to be number 2 with 48, which was pretty interesting.
That's pretty cool.
My wrestling Twitter account of the year is probably Lucha Blog because he drops all the Lucha news, and in his own snarky fashion. I would go with Lucha Blog.
Yeah, Lucha Blog is a good follow.
I mean, it used to be Lariato.
I know.
Like shit got closed down, I think, because all the companies were like not happy with him gifting all the.
I know,
great
that's
moments.
a bummer. That was I used to love Lariato.
I know.
For that
Lariato
reason.
was great.
They introduced me to so much awesome New Japan wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. What other respondents were there for wrestling Twitter accounts? Faye Jackson was on here. Let's see here. Seth Rollins. Oh, the Toru Yano fan account. That one I was exposed to this year. That's a really good. A lot of people said Iron Sheik. So he's still around. Our old friendo Juan C. Reneo.
Oh,
yeah, he's got quite the following now on Twitter. It's kind of great to see that. Like we don't really see him around our parts anymore, but I'm glad that he's out there doing his thing.
Totally.
Let's see here. Of course, Wrestling Observer is on here. The terrific photographer Kimber Lasskick is on here a few times. Of course, Matthew's on here. He's a terrific follow. I love Matthew.
Yeah, Matthew's great.
Let's see here. Maki Ito is on here. That's a great one. Of course, Alex, Queen of the Ring, is on here a couple times. Chuck Taylor's account is on here. That's given us quite a few chuckles over the years. Malcolm Bivens is a great wrestling follow.
Yes.
But shout out to Sean for being the man when it comes to breaking news in the world of wrestling.
Indeed. Let's go to Wrestling Podcast of the Year. Results are, at least at the top, pretty similar to wrestling YouTubers. You got Wrestle Talk getting the win here, and then Cultaholic, and then our friendos over at Deadlock.
Yep.
Third.
Yep.
And then Fightful, and then Solid Monster.
Fightful is kind of interesting because they have a number of different shows under their banner. They got like Grapsody, they've got The List and Your Boy, they've got the Sour Graps one. Yeah. It was I just put in Fightful because most people put in like this on Fightful, that on Fightful. So Fightful came in at number 4 with a variety of programming there with about 55 votes. Our old friendo Solid Monster as well one of the Mount Rushmore of, Mount Rushmore of wrestling podcasters.
Yep.
Who's showing a lot of love here from the Friendos as well. I wanted to see if there was anybody else that, let's see here. AEW's Unrestricted was on here. Wrestling Observer Live was on here. Busted Open was on here a little bit. Busted Wide Open was on here a little bit. Yeah, I mean, it's just there's a bunch that I have not even heard about. Cornette's on here a couple times as well. Let's see here. Yeah, that's kind of it. But yeah, there's a lot of Wrestle Talk and there's a lot of Cultaholic on here. So it's look at that. Broken Skull Sessions on here too. The Steve Austin Show, some people say. So yeah.
Let's talk wrestling Twitch streamers. Chugs, all the various ways people spell Chugs, garner enough votes to finish atop the votes here. Our good friendos at Church of Joshi finished second, and then Cultaholic, and then New Legacy.
Yeah, this was kind of interesting to me because I was like, there is sort of a growing wrestling Twitch thing, and it's funny because there are people like Church of Joshi, Big Willie, to a degree us, when we do it. But there's a growing Twitch community of wrestling streamers or people who stream actual wrestling content
versus wrestlers who stream.
Right. And those are two different things, because like Chugs, if you just wanted like a gaming streamer who's pretty popular, it's Chugs. He does, from what I understand, he doesn't really talk wrestling. And in fact, the wrestling stuff is kind of shut down when people try to bring it up for good reason.
Yeah.
For good reason. Like, you know, he doesn't want to talk about what's going on backstage, especially during the period of time when he was transitioning from WWE to AEW.
AEW, yeah.
And from what I understand, once that happened, I think he started opening up a bit more. But this dude clearly is interested in being a gaming streamer. And it just so happens that he's one of the more popular wrestlers on the planet. Mm-hmm. And so I was curious to see where people would take this. And so, yes, he won clearly far and away. I was happy to see the actual type of Twitch streamer. And again, it's like there are friends, so there is that bit of a bias there. You know, we raid them all the time and we have streams with them. But Church of Joshi really is, in terms of, you know, it's them, and then like Big Willie does really great work. Mm-hmm. I'd love to see more streamers like that, because Big Willie, he focuses on Japanese wrestling, on pro wrestling, right? Mm-hmm. Same with Church of Joshi. They focus on Joshi wrestling. I don't know if, I mean, it'd be cool if somebody out there would do like, I don't know, FMW. I don't know if Twitch would be too into that, given that it's incredibly violent, or some of it is incredibly violent. I don't know, like what the standards and practices are.
I don't know.
But of course, Cultaholic, they're great. They also do, by and large, sort of variety streamer type stuff when they're on Twitch. They do like a football manager.
Yeah,
of course, Pachidi has the game show stuff on Tuesdays.
Yeah, but he streamed like video games as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Matthew does a terrific stream where he'll just read wrestling biographies.
Yeah,
and comment on it, which is it's awesome. It's so great. Also getting some love, our friendos over at New Legacy with 44 votes. So I'm really interested to see where the Twitch space blows up with like people reacting to wrestling content, because you can't do it on YouTube really.
No,
because they just shut it down with the copyright bullshit.
They do.
Yeah. Next up, wrestling artist. Again, I didn't really know how people were going to take this. In my view, it was people like the winner, Lauren Moran, also part of Church of Joshi. Just an absolutely terrific artist. She draws a variety of stuff, but also she's had some of her illustrations in Pro Wrestling Illustrated. Mm-hmm. And the Friendos really took to her, gave her the win here. So congratulations, Lauren, for winning Wrestling Artist of the Year.
Yes.
Rob Schamberger was also the name that came up quite a bit. But yeah, a lot of blank sort of space here because people are like, I don't know. I think so. A couple people put like pro wrestling tees on here, so like, unfortunately, people who do a lot of the wrestling merch don't get the shine they probably deserve. They probably should get,
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Let me take a look at some of these. Like, I think Alex Hugill is on here too. And he's really true. I think he did one of our shirts. Like a year, the Friendo Club one with our faces on it. I think he did. There's no I think there. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these are like whoever does the design for, fill in the blank here.
For Chris Brooks, huh?
Yeah, that would be my vote. Malachi Black, whoever does his stuff is on here. Stuff. He's got terrific stuff.
Yeah, he does.
Let's see here. Mikey Ruckus is on here, musical artist for AEW, which is great. Yeah. Which is awesome. Tiger Driver's on here a couple times. They have some really great merch.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Juan of the Dead. Of course, he did some of our stuff as well. Really terrific. But yeah, there's a lot of Dexter Loomis is on here. There's a couple that are just empty or just saying, I don't know. Oh yeah. So and then Danhausen's on here a lot. I don't know. Does Danhausen do his own art or is it like like his merch? His merch is beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
It's really great stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if he does his own stuff or not.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So yeah. Anyways, moving.
You want to move on to the Baron Corbin Award, the Going in Raw Wrestler of the Year.
Yes. So
I believe he's the only 2-time winner of the award. Therefore, he gets the award named after him. This is just for the wrestler that, for whatever reason,
tickles our fancy. Just amuses us. Either unintentionally, intentionally. This year I was happy because this gentleman eked out a victory over Baron Corbin. Not a lot of different ways to spell Von Wagner. But he had 68 votes to Baron Corbin, 66 votes.
Wow, that's close.
This was so close.
That was close.
And I did double check to make sure that Baron didn't somehow win this anyways. But it was Von Wagner, our Going in Raw. I couldn't agree more. Yeah. I don't know what it is about Von Wagner, if it's his lumbering wrestling skills, his nebulous character, the dead body.
Names. Yeah, I mean, there's a whole mythology that's been constructed around Von Wagner in our community. So I get him winning. I don't disagree with it. Confused Cowboy, Joe Doring. If this vote had happened in the summer, I feel like he would have won running away.
I think you're right.
Even if Impact had continued streaming on Twitch and we were still doing co-streams, he might have won this.
You know what? The only reason why I think he didn't do as well was what you're saying. There's the recency bias of us having done the Smash Zone for the past couple months and not doing the Twitch streams, but also Von Wagner's story, I think, just has a lot more exposure amongst our community because he goes out on the podcast in the audio realm and on YouTube, whereas Confused Cowboy was kind of just relegated to the Twitch streams. Like we talked about it maybe a little bit in the Impact recap that we used to do. And I feel like he would have definitely done better. But he was in there with Karrion Kross with around like mid-20s. Braun Breaker had 29. A close second for me personally would have been Team Taz. They actually came in third with 58 votes. Yeah. Tony D'Angelo was really close with in fourth place with 55 votes. But Team Taz was definitely up there for me. I love Team Taz. Cody had 45. Cody also, I think, a really strong personal contender for Going in Raw Wrestler of the Year. The journey we went on with Cody.
Oh, yeah. And continued to go on with Cody.
Yeah, true. But yeah, Von Wagner, who sort of epitomized everything weird about NXT 2.0. It's like, look, if you're going to bring in a bunch of Braun Breakers, we get it. But then you bring up this Von Wagner guy? What's that all about? Yeah. Week to week. Oh, did you watch? Yeah, you watched NXT.
Yeah, I've watched NXT. Yeah.
Oh, that Von Wagner. There was, just to clarify, over at MF Steve here, there was 45,000 channel points on Von Wagner. There were 700 on Idris Enofe. It was like, I think White Brownie or Burwinning or one of the two.
Wow, that's a hell of a payout there.
Made out huge.
Massive payout.
Huge. Oh, man. Shoot Baby came in with 9. Shoot Baby was a great moment. And speaking of moments, the Going In Raw moment of the year.
Oof.
This was, I am so glad it hit me to add this as a category. And I think I'm going to do my best during our time off to compile as much as I can. I have to talk to Parts Unknown and say, hey, are we gonna hit with a copyright if we use this the Quizzlemania moment, because us winning Quizzlemania Tag Team Championships, when you threw that Brutus the Beefcake answer out there, what came in with a clear majority here, 105, or at least probably 105 votes out of I don't know how many respondents. That was far and away the top vote getter.
It's a feeling of elation that I haven't felt in a while getting that W.
It was a huge moment in Going In Raw history. I mean, it's going to be hard to top. I'll be honest, a lot of these moments going to be hard to top in 2022.
I know.
It's going to be hard to top a lot of these moments.
I know.
Coming in second, looks like the 24-hour stream that we did came in with 36. Would that move you to maybe, people really like that, we should do another one of those?
No, I can't do another one of those. No way. I don't feel like I physically can do another one.
Yeah, those are tough. Boy, that McGriddle at the end was really good, though.
It was really good, but I can have a McGriddle without staying up all night.
That's true. That is true. That is fact. That's fact. Not a prereq. Also, the creation of the Church of Friendos. Again, I don't know how we're going to top something like the creation of the Church of Friendos.
I know.
And I don't even know if I'll be able to find, because Kayla dubbed it the Church of Friendos on, I think, a Church of Joshi stream, or on one of Alex's streams. And I don't know if that's still available because that happened ages ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a huge moment. Of course, us debuting, taking over Quizzlemania was a pretty big deal.
That was huge. A lot of people, anecdotally, and I see it did pretty well in the voting here, when I went on my diatribe about the DQ finish to Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte at Hell in a Cell, I believe.
That did really, really well. I think the vote count here, was underestimated. Not underestimated. I think I undercounted it. But that was on there a lot when you got angry at that, because it also cost you predictions. That
it's like once a year that happens.
That match. Yeah, you're good for
once a year that happens. It's good once a year for that.
Yeah, I think I've turned into the guy who has epic meltdowns with channel points.
Yeah,
like that happened to me. I know that's got to be in there for biggest moments. I don't remember. I think I saw it a couple times, but so many. These are just great moments here. So we've got this actually can be conglomerated into one: Triple Mania and Shoot Baby. About 62 votes here because Shoot Baby happened at Triple Mania. That was just an absolute delight of a stream. Such a blast.
Yeah, that was
hopefully
a lot of
we'll
fun.
Continue to do AAA streams throughout the year. I think you said as in a Rey de Reyes is in February. Is that right?
Yeah. February 19th, I believe.
Our all-out reactions notched pretty high. Me crowning Android users big dammies also got quite a few votes. The impromptu Steve and Larson returned to being around each other
when my internet went down. Yeah.
When your internet went down and we're in the middle of a random NXT recap, and you just came over here and we did that.
We awkwardly finished that episode. Yes.
Yeah, because we're like sitting here and we're like
we don't know how to be around each other anymore. Very strange. Very strange.
Us ranting about NXT 2.0, notched pretty high. We talk about do people actually want to watch wrestlers learn how to wrestle?
Yeah.
Steve's Feud versus Christian was got a couple votes.
I want to see if you eventually turn there and become a Christian fan.
All he has to do is do some cool shit. Yeah.
Because
you for the Hall of Fame, we're just gonna get to in a second here. You've tried twice now.
Yeah. He has one more attempt to get in. I don't have to do it this year.
You're too smart to do it this year.
Yeah.
Wait a year. Hey, anything can happen.
Yeah. I'll bide my time.
Sometimes it just depends on it. Sometimes it just depends on like, oh, am I in a good mood? Do I want to give Larson something? Not
Usually
today.
that's a no.
Not today.
Usually that's a no. I like this. This made it on here. Our reunion episode with Dan Nerdcube.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It's always fun talking to Dan.
That was great. Adding Enforcer to predictions and just Enforcer.
Enforcer's the absolute best. My favorite prediction episode was with him was when he just literally drew names out of a hat.
Yeah,
that was so much
names
fun.
and confidence points as well
out of a hat. It was great.
Yeah. So this is, I think this just had recency bias, but like when my power went out and I had to go to my dad's man cave, that notched an oddly high number of votes.
Interesting.
I don't know why. I mean, I know there was a nice cushy looking.
It did look like a very comfortable chair back there.
It's a very cool man cave. It's gonna be my man cave one day. Whammy Gate. It didn't get any votes because it's too recent. It's too
new. It's too new.
But I put it on here anyway because so many people have said, "Hey, Whammy Gate would be my number one." And Whammy Gate right now can be found on the Friendo Club TV channel. Raw goes to Tuesdays.
That probably got our show more coverage than just about anything we've done.
That's true. People, yeah, it's so weird because, not to toot our own horn, we have a good size audience. If you search wrestling or pro wrestling in the Apple Podcast Store, we're usually top 4 or top 8. We're usually on one of the top 2 pages. We are one of the top fan-based podcasts for wrestling in the planet, on planet Earth, on planet Earth, which is awesome.
Little people know that we reside under the Earth's crust inside the Earth. Yes.
However, the number of other people who don't seem to understand the nature of our show, who somehow think that a show called Going in Raw does not exclusively focus on Raw.
Yeah.
Which every time I think about it, I'm like, man, we really should change the name. Because it's Raw.
Yeah, I know.
But maybe Raw will make a huge comeback and it'll be cool again.
Entirely possible. And then people are like, I want to learn about this hot new program, Raw. And they look for that and we pop up. It could be good for us.
Pops up, yeah. So yeah, no, we released that. It was just an aside. I just wanted to let people know, hey, Twitch followers and YouTube and audio, we're not going to be late on Monday nights. Mm-hmm. We're going to be Tuesday afternoons.
Mm-hmm.
And then that blew up into Raw is so shitty. Even the people who only cover Monday Night Raw
are not covering Raw anymore.
Are not covering Raw. That's not what we said. If you watch the video, you'd know it. Yeah, that made waves.
Yeah, it did.
Is it Sid? When I just decided to try the Hail Mary, didn't work, but it was pretty funny. I had some good gags on Quizzlemania.
And then Smash Zone. Once Impact stopped the Twitch streams, we pivoted to Smash Zone, and it's been a great success so far.
Correct.
And a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right, Steve. For me, this is usually the part I love doing Friendo Awards, but the Going in Raw Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Historically, it's been my pencil's not sharp. One of, if not my favorite part of this. So to recap, Going in Raw Hall of Fame started as a way for us to honor the contributions of wrestlers and people in the wrestling industry who hadn't been honored by the WWE already.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And that's the only if you're in the WWE Hall of Fame, you can't go in our Hall of Fame.
Correct.
So these are the members of Going in Raw Hall of Fame thus far. You got Triple H, Vince McMahon, Lex Luger, Paul Heyman, Paige, Minoru Suzuki, Chyna, The Undertaker, The Rock, Goldberg, RVD, CM Punk, Diamond Dallas Page, Vader, Bruiser Brody, Sable, Sid, Atsushi Onita, Great Muta, Dave Meltzer, Steiner Brothers, and New Jack. And in the Friendo wing, we got Dan Nerdcubed, Kyle Jack, and the Enforcer.
So I ran this by you off camera, and I'm glad you were cool with it. I have no wrestlers to induct this year.
Oh, really?
But I do have
a short list of a good number of wrestlers.
I do have 1, 2, 3. I've got 3 entries that I'd like to propose, and I've got 1 person for the Friendo wing. Because I want to start opening up. We're at a point here Going in Raw that we've got a lore behind us. We've had several waves of friendos come through, and I feel like I'd like to celebrate some of the culture of Going in Raw.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to start pivoting towards inducting things that just mean a lot. And it doesn't have to be a wrestler. It can be a type of video. It could be a show. It could be, what have you, any number of things.
Gotcha.
And so my first nominee for the Going in Raw Hall of Fame this year is probably the most talked about shoot interview here on the show, the Kevin Nash whiteboard shoot interview.
Okay.
I think belongs in the Going in Raw Hall of Fame.
All right.
So that's where I'm going to start.
All right. Number one on my list is a wrestler who inspired us to create a goal. You get all the belts, you achieve this status. There's even a shirt that we sold that says,
that's nice. Yeah.
That's inspired by this wrestler. I'm talking about the Ultimo Dragon, the famous picture of him with all the belts. You know, if you won all our prediction belts, you achieved Ultimo status.
Yeah.
Ultimo Dragon is my first nominee.
So I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm totally cool with this. I think Ultimo Dragon's great. Given that neither of us are all that familiar with his work beyond that picture. And
I remember him in WCW.
Well, yeah, so do I. But I don't know. Who's the best match? What's the best match he ever had? I know, exactly. See, we don't really know that much about him. I just remember. I'm just going to throw this out there. What if instead of nominating the wrestler, we put in the picture of Ultimo Dragon with all the titles? Because that's where Ultimo comes from.
Well, I mean, you induct Ultimo Dragon. That includes that picture. You include that moment.
The picture is a very specific thing, though, because we're like, hey, we're going to induct Ultimo Dragon. It's like, oh, what are his accomplishments?
Here, I'll do this. I understand what you want to do with the Going in Raw Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Let's ease into it a little bit, okay?
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Let's ease into it.
So may I ask this?
Sure.
Next year. Oh, how about this? You induct Ultimo Dragon, and my second nomination will be the Ultimo Dragon picture where he's holding all the titles.
All right, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, that'll be my second one. Ultimo Dragon and the Ultimo Dragon picture are now both nominees for the Going in Raw.
There you go. All right,
Hall
so
of
number
Fame.
number two on my list. I just feel like there's some people who have contributed to the world of pro wrestling. They haven't gotten their honors yet from WWE. First amongst them, creator of some of the best theme songs in wrestling history, Jim Johnston.
He wasn't in already?
No.
What the fuck?
Yeah. He totally needs to go.
Nuts. How did we not think about that already?
He was nominated at one point, but wasn't inducted. So I got Jim Johnston second on my list.
That's great. All right. So next on my list for the Going in Raw Hall of Fame. This is something that we have retired. It's something that is not coming back. It's something that if it wasn't for this thing, you would probably be working as a barista, and I'd be working at Target, or more likely I'd be working at like the Kings or something, and you'd be working at Channel 31.
Yeah.
I'm going to nominate 10 for the win for the Going in Raw Hall of Fame. It is the thing that got us here.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to put 10 for the win in the Hall of Fame.
That's good. Three, another contributor to the wrestling industry that I don't believe has been inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame. We met him briefly at StarCast. I'm talking about Bill Apter. He came up, said hi, shook her hands. Noted wrestling photographer, creator of Pro Wrestling Illustrated. Contributed a bunch to the wrestling industry. Bill Apter, my third nominee.
That's good. All right, my fourth nominee. I actually just thought of a wrestler now.
Oh, all right.
That I'd like to put in. He's very much both a legend and a legend in the Going in Raw sense as well. Vampiro.
Good.
We have had interactions with Vampiro.
I mean,
he probably
you're
won't remember
close personal friend of Steve.
Well,
here,
at some point, I had his phone number.
Yeah.
And the moments that, number one, he is a legend in Mexico. He would have been huge over here if WCW knew what to do with him.
Yeah.
But he still has immense name recognition.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we rated Kayla's stream once, and she was literally crying over his role in Lucha Underground.
Oh, yeah, the feud with Pentagon, yeah.
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 And all the humor that he brought to the AAA streams,
Mm-hmm.
the initial AAA streams. So I think Vampiro would make an excellent addition to the Going In Raw Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's a great nominee. Fourth for me is something that was pretty popular for us years ago. We even had shirts made, all over print shirts made.
Yeah.
And it's the Slow Wolf Pack.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really coming back.
Probably not.
I think the Hey You're Not Me era of Baron Corbin for us is gone.
Mm-hmm.
But it is such an important part of that era of Going In Raw.
Yeah.
I feel like it deserves to be honored. So Slow Wolf Pack.
That's good. That's good. My last one before the Friendo wing
Mm-hmm.
is a guy who does mean a lot to us because he was our first foray into professional wrestling. Can't believe I'm going to do this. Adam Mayhem. I'd like to induct Adam Mayhem into the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
I remember all of our conversations with him, and the fact that he brought a gun to the ring. He named a finishing move after me. I will now bury the fake hatchet that ever existed between us.
Yeah.
And be the one to put him over the top into the Hall of Fame. I know you have tried to induct him in the past.
Last year I did. He's on my list for the Friendo wing again this year. So,
well, I'll put him straight up with the wrestlers. He deserves to be in there with the wrestlers.
He does deserve that. My last nominee for the Going In Raw Hall of Fame before we get to the Friendo wing is the End of an Era match. Easily one of our top 5 matches ever. My probably personal favorite match ever. Yeah. Whenever someone asks, "Hey, what's your guys' favorite match?" That's usually the match that comes to mind.
Absolutely, yeah.
Might as well nominate it.
Yeah, that's a great pick right there. Those are all great.
Who do you got? Who do you want to nominate for the Friendo wing, Steve?
Oh, easy. This is my vice president.
Mm-hmm.
She is she's, I believe, the Chief Justice of now the MF Steve here Supreme Court. She is an absolutely fantastic human being.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who's with us like in basically almost every stream that we do.
Yep.
She is just an absolute wonderful person. I can't say enough great things about her. I keep on thinking of all these great things. Like she's such a great Marvel fan. She's such a great nerd fan of just stuff. And I always know that, like, even if we have disagreements, we can always have fun disagreeing about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking about, of course, Maggie. I'd like her to be in the Friendo wing of. I still think she could be a terrific podcaster. I'd still like to find a way to twist her arm and bring her on the show.
Definitely.
Maggie. I'd like to induct Maggie in the Friendo wing of the Hall of Fame.
So I have her as a nominee. I also have Jeffrey Nguyen as a nominee.
Great.
Maggie's fantastic. You and I can't say enough great things about her. Jeffrey's great. Remember meeting him at the Long Beach show at the Pyramid for the first time. He's been extremely generous throughout the year, supporting us and whatever we do. And I think he deserves an induction to the Friendo wing of the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. I think those are both great picks. And in fact, I'll be honest with you, I have no problem with anybody you had. I think all those are great. Let's put them all in there.
You just want to put them all in? That's never happened.
It's never happened before. But I mean, do you have any problems with any of mine?
No, not per se. No.
I mean, we've got Ultimo Dragon and the Ultimo Dragon picture.
Yeah.
Kevin Nash whiteboard shoot interview, 10 for the win. Maggie, Jeffrey Nguyen, Adam Mayhem.
I never thought this day would happen. I should have tried Christian.
Oh, that would have been a bad move. That would have been a terrible move. You know better. That would have been a terrible
I do
move.
know better. Ultimo Dragon, Jim Johnston, Bill Apter, Slow Wolf Pack, and end of an era match.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a class.
That's a great class right
It's
there.
a hell of a class.
That's a great class right there. Well done. Well done.
Well done. Well, congratulations to everybody who new inductions of the Hall of Fame. It's great. I'm very happy about this year's class. I'm very excited. Very excited.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is best class ever, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Absolutely.
I think so, without a doubt.
All right. Well, anyways, that's going to do it for us. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Can't wait to do this again next year. Who knows what 2022 will hold in store? We're going to let you know next week on our tomorrow. Tomorrow? When is this happening? Probably tomorrow, right?
This goes up. Yeah, this is New Year's Eve, so tomorrow will be New Year's Day. We'll do our 2022 predictions then.
2022 predictions. I have no idea what I'm going to predict, but I'll figure it out between.
I had one that I think I forgot it.
Oh, good job. Well done.
Anyways. Oh, I remember what it is.
All right. Anyways, thanks everybody for tuning in. Appreciate it. Till next time. We'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.